So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Andrew Turner, founder and host of the G&T Sessions podcast. And today we have an amazing guest, Ms. Beth Elletson. Hello, Beth. How are you? Oh,
I am doing great. Like we were just saying, sunny South Florida, loving life, and it's Friday.
sunny South Florida. Okay, I'm in very cold London. Well, sub-zero temperatures. I'm in the wrong continent. But I don't know if you've got. You mentioned you've got a jumper on. So how can you you can't have a jumper on when you're in Florida? I mean, when you're hanging out on the beach somewhere, it's not allowed.
It isn't. You got to get down here. Everyone's welcome, and everyone's moving to South Florida with their startups. So, it's becoming such a great hub for founders. So, I think the weather and the taxes have something to do with it. Yeah, they've got a lot of movement going on here in Florida. There's a big push from the startup space, and like I said, there's a lot of tax incentives for people to move their headquarters here. So. Yeah, I don't know the exact numbers, but there's a big shift of founders moving down here.
I didn't know that. I mean, because I suppose you definitely can have the kind of moniker of Silicon Beach. It's like or Silicon Everglade, I suppose you could call it, couldn't you? I suppose with the.
The problem is with the Everglades, they get alligators.
Okay. Well, no. I mean, Silicon Beach is normally Tel Aviv, Israel. Obviously, quite a topical topic at the moment, but obviously Silicon Beach. I mean, I think that's cool. I mean, is that around Miami then, around that area, or is it just which part of Florida?
It's really the Miami area, but there's also I'm in Broward County, but they've really the governor and there's a big push. They're doing a lot of movement with talent, which is obviously great for our business, where they're trying to get all these businesses to move, right? But the only way that they can move is that if they have high level talent that they can recruit and have, join their teams down here. So there's a lot of initiatives going around, a lot of government funding and grants going on to not just get talent here, but also upskill the talent. So that's really the only way that they're going to continue to bring these larger businesses down is by being able to support them with the right level of skills.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I mean, obviously we'll get onto that because I know it links to kind of some of your background as well about that whole the people dimension. But yeah, I mean, great. Thanks for coming on the show. And I know we spoke originally last year, and you were kind of incubating. Yeah, you could say you were kind of like under the water before you came up over the water like I don't know what you call it, like a dolphin. Yeah. And
I was thinking Little Mermaid, but yeah, that too.
Oh yeah, sorry. Okay, mermaid. Yeah, sorry. All right, mermaid. That's a little bit even better. What maybe for people that don't know what you're working on or what you've kind of brought above the surface. What's keeping you awake at night apart from your kids? What's getting you up in the morning apart from your kids? In Beth's world.
Yeah. Yeah, in Beth's world, and you're so right. A year ago, it was that ideation phase, right? I knew what I wanted to build. I had this solution, and I really had to reel myself in to say, okay, how do we get this product to launch? And what the product is, our company is called Abe, and it's called Abe, like Abe Lincoln, because it's of the people, by the people, for the people. And it's really a platform for career management where individuals can actually leverage their own data to make better career decisions. And what you said, like what kept me up at night, it's one of those things that what makes me wake up in the morning, right? Besides my kids pounding on the door, is really that ability for people to have this overall increase of their wellness by being able to make better career decisions. And I think we know when we work in places that we love, we show up very differently at home than if we come home to a place of work that we hate. And that's really kind of our North Star. And we'll get into really what Abe is, but we launched 2 months ago. So that ideation phase so we launched about 2 months ago, went live, and, we're learning a ton from our users at this point of the future features that are going to be released very soon.
But this, I mean, so well done. Congratulations. I mean, that was like an early Christmas present. Is that what you call it? It's like.
It was. More than that, it was like delivering my third child. It was, that incubation. It was about the same amount of time, and I think I look at it and I I had to pause because I run so fast and I don't appreciate things that I've worked really hard for. And it's like next, next, next. And I was very intentional when I hit like the live button on Abe. I was like, you know what? I'm pretty damn proud of myself, and I'm proud of this team. And oftentimes founders don't get. Everyone's got lots of great ideas, right? To actually put it into action in a tangible product was this feeling I had never had before. One, because I hadn't built a tech product prior, but just to actually see it come to life was just this very like surreal experience that I wanted to like sit on for a minute. It was humbling, and it was also like, yeah, I think it was humbling. And I also think it was like, I can do this, right? And I am capable of achieving this. And it was one of those things, like all that time and effort and love that went into it, not only seeing it go live, but also seeing it working and people loving it, is that's the other piece that keeps me every morning, plugging away 100, 120 hours a week. Yeah. And it's exciting.
Because I know when we originally spoke before you'd actually launched, you were kind of like, I know you probably explain a little bit of your background, which I was fascinated with when we first spoke. But it's a big shift. It's a big, you're now the founder of a tech company, and I know it's obviously in a kind of area that you've got a deep knowledge about because of your history. But that's quite a big jump, isn't it? To come out of a corporate, and we'll talk about the corporate you were in before, so we had a good conversation about that, or a few of the ones we've been in. But that's a brave move, So hats off to you for doing that. Congratulations. I mean, just you could, because that thing about execution, you can talk about it when you actually got to do it, and then you actually got to go to the minutiae of detail and the user experience and go through all that. It really focuses the mind, doesn't it? It really makes you got to think it through in the user's shoes. How are they going to react to it? And then getting the feedback is even better. Keeps you gives you some fuel, I suppose, doesn't it?
It does. And it was interesting, right? Like you said, I was subject matter expert, and I had tinkered around with 2 startups prior to Abe. And one was because I was bored and I saw a problem. I was like, I could fix this. And then another one, I happened to be, I was pregnant, and I was like, how cool would it be to make a reading app like Snapchat? It was when Snapchat was huge. And, what I learned from those 2 startups that I think really helped keep my energy levels and push forward here is I wasn't the expert in the space, and I wasn't a tech background. And typically you either need to be a subject matter expert or highly technical. So I learned a lot from that process, right? But I knew I didn't go through the whole funding and the building phase just because there was that piece missing, and I didn't know what it was until I built Abe. Because then I shifted into a realm that I had spent, I'll share, 15 years in human resources. My motivation and drive was to fly up the corporate ladder, make a lot of money. I end up being in this chief people officer role in Major League Baseball, which I was an athlete my whole life. And on paper, this was my dream job, right? It was all about, coming into it. The explanation was that it was going to be, training and development, engagement, hiring and recruitment, which are my areas of expertise. And then obviously after 2 seasons, it shifted, and my priorities and needs shifted. And I always knew I'd start my own business. And, I love, like, my heart and soul. I find joy in helping people navigate their careers and being the best versions of themselves professionally. But I knew one-on-one coaching and even training and doing all these things I'm really great at that I love doing wouldn't be scalable. And that said, if I want to do something scalable and I want to have the way that I guide people and where people have found success, and that North Star is, I'm going to have to build a technology around this. So that's really where that shift happened for me, where now I have, an immense amount of confidence because I am the subject matter expert, and I can figure out the tech side of it. Right. And I'm still obviously learning and growing. And what does HR do? What do we do? What are we really good at? We're really good at hiring great people around us. And I think that's our competitive advantage, is that, I can build fantastic teams. And so I brought in an amazing tech advisor. I brought in the chief data officer at PayPal to come in and run our data strategy and to help us kind of again, early on so we can do this right. And one of the lessons I heard from doing an incubator program was, oh my gosh, you're going to waste so much money when you outsource overseas. Like your contract's going to be broken. They're going to do the minimum, whatever it might be. I had the opposite experience. So the tech advisor I brought in was intentional because he actually had worked with a phenomenal team in the Ukraine for over 20 years on multi-million dollar projects.
In Ukraine? Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, there's some very good talent there. There's some very good talent there, yeah.
Phenomenal. And their project management skills, their execution. And for me, which was, I come from a corporate background, like you said, and I'm the engagement and culture and motivation person. So, I'm messaging the Ukrainian team, like, fantastic work, keep going. You guys are awesome. Like, and they're like, we have never had a client say thank you. I'm like,
who is this Beth? Who is she? She's a force of nature.
But I will tell you that discretionary effort that they gave me and them going above and beyond wasn't by accident, right? They felt a part of our team. They were excited to be a part of it. I pitched their entire development team. I said, no, before you build it, I want to fully tell you guys what I want today and what my future vision is of this platform, because I'm relying on you to say, whoa, don't do that, or think of it this way, or consider this, because I don't have the technical background. So my thing is, like, if I can get them bought in early and excited about what we're building. And honestly, I think that's why our MVP looks the way it does.
Well, I had a look the other day. It doesn't look like an MVP at all. It looks pretty mature, to be honest with you.
It's maybe I should call beta.
That's our little secret. That's a little secret, isn't it? It's like private beta, exactly. But it's now public.
Exactly.
So
it is.
I mean, well, no. I was going to say, yeah. I mean, no. Sorry. I mean, you were going to say, yeah. What were you going to say about
again, it's a testament. Yeah, it's a testament to that team. Honestly, it's and also my obsession, right? So every little iteration, not that I don't regret not putting out sooner. Everyone's always says, "Oh, your first version, you should be embarrassed by it."
Right. Yeah.
I don't have that philosophy. I just don't. I wanted something that day one could serve our users. And something day one that they could feel really good about, because our whole brand is about trust and authenticity. And I can't put out a piece of crap and be like, oh, trust us now. Because you don't gain that back.
You won't get the adopt. Yeah, basically people will bounce. They won't adopt. They won't engage, will they? So you got to think it through.
Yeah,
that's really interesting. I mean, one of the things I was going to say. Yeah, I mean, I was in Ukraine just before the war kicked off, and there's some, there's some excellent people over there. Absolutely excellent people. Very technical, but very good attitude. Very good attitude to, they want to learn. They want to progress. So I didn't realize. I assume you'd gone further east, so I didn't realize you'd gone to Ukraine. I mean, one of the questions I got for you was, what was the trigger? You were a chief people officer in a very famous Miami-based sports team, which you might want to mention, you might not want to mention. Which we had. I know we had a quick chat about that last year. But what was the trigger for you? Did you see a gap? What was the kind of epiphany moment that you say, this is a white space that you think has not been served? How did that happen?
So, for me, on the HR standpoint, I was thinking through. I'd been in some wonderful cultures and some cultures that just couldn't be fixed. And I will tell you, when we look from an HR standpoint, and it's like we're doing engagement, fulfillment, retention, we're trying to drive all of this. But at the end of the day, if the person you brought onto that team is not a fit for the company and you cannot meet their needs, no amount of engagement or fulfillment is going to make them want to produce for you or stay around. And I said, so the root cause of engagement issues is hiring the wrong person. And I went to deep research about why are job seekers and why are companies, why is this consistently still an issue, right? And it came down to, I summarize it with a term that we've coined that we call professional catfishing. And professional catfishing is where job seekers are, have these beautiful resumes, and now you can customize them exactly to the job description. And companies are posting these job descriptions that are aspirational, that are fluffy, that have 3 jobs in one. And that's really where I started feeling that driver. And the reason I felt so personal to this mission is because, I've been in work environments where I felt that what was demonstrated in an interview process to me was significantly different than the experience I had working there. And I always go back to the idea of, but there is a right fit for people, right? I hate to say good culture, bad culture. I mean, there's toxic workplaces, right? But why are we not figuring out a way, all these companies, right? I had 16 HR technologies layered and layered and layered on one another to help me hire, promote, right? Hire, promote, train, terminate, right? And I had this aha moment where I was like, why are we not providing that same level of data-driven technology for individual people?
Right.
And why can't they take their own data? And when we say data, we mean their accomplishments, their performance reviews, their job descriptions, their needs.
Oh, I see.
Why is there not a
Yeah, like
so
so what you say, it's like an independent place to store all that career development data. That's what you're basically building, or you built. Yeah, is that right?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh wow!
People reference it as a career wallet.
That's a bit.
Some people call it. No, go. Yeah.
I was going to say that's a bit scary because I was in a call the other day with the guy that I met the other week, and he's ex-GE, right? General Electric, and we were both there when Jack Welch was running the business. So it was amazing because he was using language that only a GE meatball alumni would know. It's like these certain phrases we use. It's like a dialect. Yeah, it's like a lexicon. Yeah. I said, "Are you ex-GE?" He says, "Oh yeah. I worked at a G Capital." And as the kind of, I don't know if you probably heard about it. We call it EMS process within GE. It was very, very aggressive, right? It was either top 10% up, bottom 10% exit. Yeah. So, but it was a very, very progressive kind of organization. And if I think about all those performance reviews, they're somewhere out in the ether now. They're probably in a filing cabinet somewhere in the GE office, or they've been destroyed or whatever. But that's useful feedback because you've evolved as an individual. Yeah. I see what you're doing now. That's really good actually, because it's going to help people with their own journey and working out their, what we used to call their strengths and their edges. I don't know if you use the same phrase, but like not saying weaknesses, but what are the things they need to do a PDP on? That's the kind of, does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. And I think so. You can't be good at everything, right? And I say these performance reviews, we look at it and you see that progression, you see that growth, you see what makes you tick. Why are you excited to show up to work? And if you're going to work let's say you're making a decision, right? Maybe you want to stay at GE and you want to be able to grow within that company. Well, what does that look like? And how are you leveraging your past performance reviews and those new accomplishments that you've done to navigate that career path? And, and also, what are some of those areas that maybe you're just not really strong at? For me, administrative work, terrible at it, and I don't like it, right? If I go into right? Let's be clear here. So if I'm going into a role that's heavily HR administrative, I'm not going to do well at it, and I'm not going to enjoy it. And what we're saying is okay, to our users, we don't want to know what is on your external profile of LinkedIn. I don't want to see your resume. We want to know who you truly are. We want to understand what your needs are. So all of our users go through what we call our JobFit IQ, and it allows them to go through this journey of self-reflection. I think it's just for them. It's their dashboard. It's their platform, but it takes them through this journey of, it's 5 to 7 minutes, but it's saying, okay, Andrew, would you rather a boss that, it works with you hand in hand and you work on projects together, or do you want a boss that's going to check on you once a quarter?
Right.
Or do you want a team? Do you want to be individually? So it's saying beyond just culture and team leadership, like, what are those core needs that you have? And we actually had this cool session yesterday. So with all of my users, I do what I call HR office hours.
Oh,
So
you
it
do
allows
it?
me
You
to
do
stay
office
super
hours?
connected
Oh,
to
wow,
them.
fantastic.
I do. And it's a way for me to, one, talk to them about their experience on the platform, get feedback, but I also give them in real time HR advice. So I'm like, if they have a hurdle, they've got something going on. And a woman came off mute and she said, I've got to tell you, I took the JobFit IQ. She goes, and it was the first time in my career I ever selected a job based off what I really needed, not what I thought looked good on paper and for other people to see. She goes, in the past, I would have picked money and I would have picked the job title and the company. She's like, but the job fit told me I wanted flexibility and a great leader that aligned to my certain personality styles. She goes, I had 3 offers on the table. And she goes, and I, for the first time in my career, held myself accountable to picking the actual opportunity that I would have fit in with. And it was that moment. And it's these micro moments as a founder where you're like, oh my gosh, like, I know this works, but to see how you applied it and how serious you took that decision, it is. And it's like her trajectory of her career is now aligned to what she actually needs. And in turn, that company now is having an employee that has a higher probability of being engaged and productive and fulfilled there because it aligns to who she is.
I mean, you you're touching on a very interesting topic there. I mean, you know, that I don't know whether is it a phenomenon that you know that thing about an individual contributor or being a manager, that kind of like that crossroads, is the kind of if you think about some of the dynamics around some organizations, there's an equation, right? Headcount plus budget equals power and influence. Yeah. And but then it's like finding your path. Are you going to be an excellent people manager and deliver through other people and all that kind of that kind of thing, or are you going to be better going down individual contributor level? And I think, as you know, I don't know if you've got the same view, but culturally, sometimes I don't know if you get it's some people are in that dilemma, and they may have been a really good individual contributor, and then they get thrown because they've done really good achievements. They get then thrown into the manager thing, and they maybe struggle. Yeah, they kind of like they need their armbands on. They need a lot of help and coaching and stuff. It's that's fantastic. If that's the kind of feedback loop that you can get in that kind of like light bulb moment, I mean, that's huge personal people impact, which even from a, because you're a very effervescent, you're a very engaging individual. Yeah, the way your style of interaction with people is very engaging. So that must be that's must set you on fire. Having that kind of feedback. It makes it worthwhile.
It does.
It makes it.
Yeah, after I'm like, woo, yeah, no, and I think you hit on a really good point, right? It's like, yes, we're trying to acquire users at scale. Now we want our users to be engaged on the platform, right? But what's the marker of success to me is that application. And there is an educational component of what we're doing. And it's kind of like therapy. Like if you do the work and you learn how to navigate your career and you've got to focus on it, it's not like a one and done thing, right? And where we see Abe, we call it career insurance assurance, right? Like it's worst case scenario too, right? Like we see all these layoffs happening. There's a huge amount already in this new year. And it's like, I go back to like what our security officer at our school used to say, be prepared, not scared, right? And I feel the same way about Abe. It's like, if you're using this like a maintenance plan of your career and you're continuously working on, being really dedicated to making the right decisions and being prepared along the way, you're going to be in a way better position. And again, now they're applying this knowledge and I'm like, okay, like we're making progress, but this user, right, went through the whole cycle with us. She's tracking her accomplishments. She's got her documents on Abe. She took the JobFit assessment and she knew to go back to kind of her training when she had these 3 offers right in front of her. And she said, this is the one I need. This, with taking off the rose-colored glasses, before Abe, I would have picked this, but you know what? I've had so much self-discovery. This is the role for me. And that to me, in the future, right, we want to help people even more so, because she obviously put in the work to be able to make that decision. In the future, we want to take even the wrong options, not even put them in front of people. But I think for me, that brings me so much fire and fulfillment and like keep going. And it's as a founder, that those are the moments that I cherish and keeps me saying, okay, what do we need to do next to keep people in this forward progression, being able to make the right decisions?
Because if you think about it outside context, that actually, it's that thing. Literally, it's funny what you say about money and interest. I've personally, I've kind of toggled. I've toggled between money, interest, money, interest, but there's not really any. Usually, I don't know. Maybe unless you speak to your parents or you've got some friends, there's nobody really to help you, to guide you down that path. Yeah. Opportunities may come past your desk or come across your desk, or you may get approached, but how do you evaluate them? And what you're saying is you're giving people a toolkit to help them to really do a retrospective on themselves and like look in the mirror and actually then work out what is the path that get I won't say to happiness, nobody's ever happy, but to fulfillment, to actually get in a place where, what are the most important characteristics of the time they're on this planet. So I think I mean, that's, you've got how many, I won't ask how many users you've got on today, but, I think you've got about a couple of billion more to add on to your platform. You send for more servers.
Baby.
Beth needs more servers because there's more cloud services.
Open them up,
because
guys. Yep.
You're going to be buying more servers than Mark Zuckerberg is going to buy this year for Meta. Yeah, exactly.
Totally.
So
that's what is that? My 5-year plan done.
Yeah, in 1 year. So I suppose one of the things I was just thinking when you were talking was you did touch on this, and you've kind of had I suppose when I look at your background, you've had it's like I suppose you're developing your second chapter. I don't know if it's your second chapter or your third chapter. But along that way, I mean, one of the things we talk about in our episodes with amazing guests like yourself is about peaks and valleys, right? So in terms of it sounds like you've had some peaks. Well, you maybe have some valleys that you maybe want to share as well about the path to getting Abe over the line. But I know you touched on some of your previous valleys. I mean, is there any ones that spring to mind that you think would be valuable for the audience to listen to today? Because people sometimes come on and they say, "Oh, we've done this, we've done that, we've done this," but they don't always have time to talk about we planned this, but it didn't quite work out, and this is what we learned from it. I don't know if you've got any thoughts on that.
Let me tell you about rock bottom. No.
We tell you about underwater,
true, right?
Yeah, subsurface.
Yeah. There's been a lot of moments, right? And I think for me is part of the reason Abe is so important to me on this authenticity piece is like, we're all so quick to share our wins, which heck yeah, I want to talk about all the wins for sure. But the reason I was able to get to the stage of building Abe and making it a true viable career tool is because I've had those low moments, right? And the craziest thing I would tell you is that going back to prior to my founder days is where everybody thought I was at my peak, right? They're seeing out externally, I've got this title, I'm the top of the food chain when it came to HR. Oftentimes I was at my lowest. And the reason I felt that way is the higher you get up the food chain, the more you see behind the curtain. And it's not always fun. And I will tell you, for me, I looked back on, and there were decisions I made. I don't regret any decisions. I don't take back any of my time. But I would say, I had just had my second son, February 25th, 2020. And 2 weeks later, the pandemic hit. Right. So I had accepted my job. I had planned on taking a maternity leave, being with my newborn baby. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh, like the pandemic's here. I'm the chief people officer. If there's any time a company needs HR, it's now. And I also in the back of my head was like, oh my gosh, like what if they reduce staff and they say, well, she's not even here. Let's just not have her come on board yet. We don't know her yet.
Right.
So I felt a little bit, my decision where I said, nope, I'll get started. I'll get this going. Looking back, you know, did I miss those moments with a newborn? Yeah, I did. But again, also that time I spent with the employees at the organization in their deepest hours of need, I was there for them. We fielded, you know, over 3,000 phone calls and basically turned into the therapist, the doctor, anything you could imagine, right? So I would say, like, externally, I had that aha moment. I knew that it wasn't the right fit for me. It wasn't conducive to having children because I can work 100, 120 hours a week. I'm doing it now, but I'm doing it around me being able to be a mom as well. And, you know, by being a mom, I mean, I'm very fortunate. I've got a village. My parents pick my children up. They come home at 4:30. I've got them for about 2 hours. We hang, we play, we eat dinner. They go to bed, and then I'm working again from, you know, 7, 8 o'clock to midnight. And I love it. But I would say those low moments, I would say from a development standpoint, I had to navigate a little bit from a design perspective. I had to part ways with 2 people that weren't employees, but people that we outsourced that just weren't delivering on the goods, which I think is important to move quickly on, especially when I hire somebody for a weakness, meaning a legal consultant. You know, I do expect the agreements to be perfectly written, right? And not, you're supposed to give away a percentage and then you did a math error. So now you're giving away almost the whole company, right? And I caught it in a legal document. So I think that's where I learned a key lesson, that nobody on your team is going to care more or work harder than you, and you can't expect them to. And I learned that early, you know, because it's true, you know, and it's okay, you know, and I think.
But just so the reason why I reacted like that was because that's the very you probably know this anyway, but that's a very famous Gary V quote or comment. I don't know if you know that. So Gary Vaynerchuk said that but it's incredible the number of founders that I've spoken to who still don't quite get that. You know, they expect the level of commitment they expect from people on their team, and yet they're, you know, it's a different role,
You know, and I have to hold myself accountable to that, though, too.
It's the chicken or the egg. Is it the what? No, what is it?
Yep.
Well, no, I know what it is. It's the. Have you heard about the pig and the chicken? Yeah, which one's more committed? Yeah.
Oh no, I just know that from old McDonald's.
Well, no. There's a famous thing in agile. It's like a methodology, right? So they have this cartoon about the chicken and the pig, and then obviously if you think about, you know, chickens deliver eggs, but pigs, how do they deliver? They have to be killed, right? They have to be, you know, chopped up, So it's a bit like a different level of commitment.
Bacon.
Where the pigs are kind of completely committed to what they're doing, whereas the chickens can cluck around and drop eggs and stuff like that, but they don't have to be, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So the founder is definitely the pig, so to speak. It's like you're like completely committed. You know, you're all in. And then it's like, but how do you engage people to be all in like you and have the right relationship with them? That's no, thank you for saying that quote. It's really, it's still topical today. I think that's what you're saying. It's good. It's good. I think it's good.
You as a founder, I think.
That's right.
No, sorry. I think there's a little delay. I think just as a founder, holding yourself accountable to that, right? And I'm trying to be really well aware of that. And I have a phenomenal team, right? They're fantastic. And, you know, but again, I'm obsessive about it, right? So I'm always thinking about Abe. I'm always creating. I'm always you look at my windows, I look like a psycho, but I use it as my dry erase board. So every thought or idea or marketing concept or feature or whatever it might be, or I'll send you a picture, scattered all over my windows. I'm not expecting my team to have that obsessive mindset, right? But on the flip side, we're really clear on the goals, right? Here's your job. Here's how you're working with us. Let's set those expectations together so it's super clear. And I think that's for me where the corporate side comes in that I think is beneficial. And I'm still trying to be better at it, but it's like, let's be so aligned of what your job is and what the goals are. So when the time comes, we all know what the expectations are. And I think that's been helpful. We're still working through that. But the team is phenomenal. And we're just going to keep trying to scale our team out once we go to funding.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that I think what you're raising there is structure. Because I think the thing is, when you've been in a corporate background and you go into a startup world, because startups, people go straight from, like, their education background straight into startups. They've not got any reference point for any structure. So that's what my observation is. Sometimes it becomes very chaotic, whereas it's a bit like you can put too much structure in too early and it stifles the kind of the culture and the innovation and the kind of ways of working. But that, I mean, you're raising an interesting point there. But obviously with your background, you can kind of like, you can pour in the right amount of structure and just get the balance right, I suppose. That's the benefit of it, isn't it? Interesting. So, I mean, one of the things I was going to ask you about was, and because I was talking on a radio show actually that went across the US last year called Inside Analysis, and we were talking about the impact of this thing called Gen AI, an AI, back to your old McDonald's thing, AI, AIO, that's what I call it. It's not not EIEIO. Obviously there's been a lot of stuff put out there about the impact on jobs and roles and the kind of, what's the workforce of the future and stuff like that. Any perspectives you want to share on that? I mean, it must be, because you're right in the epicenter of that with the thing you're doing, isn't it?
Yeah. Two things. So one, an AI pretty big organization has brought me on to consult a bit with them to help large companies understand how do you get your workforce prepared and ready for AI, and what does that look like? And
really? Wow.
In my opinion on it, and it's something that I think it's very important, right? Because, and I did a ton of reading in this one space of like, now everyone's like, AI, it's taking everybody's job. Well, guess what? If you backtrack, look at the internet, that took people's jobs. Then you go back to industrial revolution. We literally have revolution. You have machinery taking over, right? That took people's jobs. So we know every, couple like decades, we are going to have something that is going to operationally improve companies. Mm-hmm. And what I tell CEOs, the best advice I can say to them is say, you tell your people you have to be very transparent. We have these AI initiatives coming in, and we are going to provide you so much training and development in your seat to effectively partner with AI. Mm-hmm. Now, it's your decision if you're going to get on board and operationalize and optimize your role with the tools and resources of AI that we have. Mm-hmm. And you're going to be able to be, give yourself that flexibility to now be able to innovate in your role, because AI can do aspects of your administrative or whatever part of your role. Mm-hmm. Or if you decide to resist this, right, then it's going to look differently for you. But for those on our team, there's a role for everybody in this organization that helps us adapt our operation to this. And knowing that we are going to invest in your training and the time for you to get that learning curve, people want that reassurance. Now, you can't give that falsely if you're not willing to do it. But if you're going to do it the right way and treat your people the right way in integrating this into your work, which is very important and needs to get done, tell them that you're on their team, right? And tell them that you're going to help upskill them and get them in the role. And because guess what? If they leave your organization, the next organization they're going to go to is going to have AI there at some point as well. So that's where companies need to take a stance of learning and development with their team. I've seen companies make they've made bad decisions of eliminating jobs before they've gone through the exercise of what an AI strategy looks like. And it's not going to go well for them. So that's my stance on it, is I want to work with companies and help them as they're navigating this. If they have a high EQ and have the willingness to keep their people operating at a high speed with AI and making that commitment to their people. But in turn, people need to make that commitment back that, yes, I understand this is part of my role, and I'm going to learn how this can work with my position, right? And inevitably, is it going to reduce some workers? Yes, it is. But I feel that layer of workforce that goes first are the ones that aren't willing to adapt to the AI.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you've seen the McKinsey research. It's quite interesting that they reckon it's actually going to accelerate by 10 years the transformation of organizations. That's the opportunity with it, which is absolutely mind blowing. But the number of roles that you list down the number of roles it's impacting. It's not just like one function. It's all functions pretty much. Yeah, it's incredible.
It is.
But yeah, I mean, but I think what you're saying is get on the AI bus, or maybe not. It's like
to keep your job. Yeah. So Abe, we've integrated in, actually it's a feature we're launching at the end of February, which is going to be freaking fantastic. But we said, this first phase is get your data, get it all together. Let's start understanding what this means. And then our Ask Abe chat feature is going to allow our users to leverage all that information for their own good.
Wow.
So they're going to be able to say, I want to get a promotion. Write me an email for my boss. Okay, great.
Okay.
Our system will pop that out for you.
Hey, so it's going to be, what is it going to be called? Abe GPT or something, or it's going
to just Ask Abe. Yeah, I think people are scared of AI, but it's like, let's leverage it. Let's, and again, where it goes back to of the people, by the people, for the people. Let's give them these tools that all the companies have. Now you're going to have access to it, right? And it's going to be customized and personalized to you. So we've got a lot of great work that we're doing in the space. The trials that we've been running on it are really freaking cool. Even so much if you have a question about a company policy that you don't want to go to HR for, well, ask Abe. If the information's on your dashboard, I'm having a baby. What's the maternity leave policy? Well, if your handbook's on there, it's going to pull the right information for you. So we really feel like it's just empowering. Like, how do you make great decisions? How do you have great judgment? It's taking all the information you have and trying to make the right choice, right? So our goal is to streamline that a little bit. There's no silver bullet to decision-making, but we do know that Abe is going to have a significant impact in the way that people make those career choices.
And I mean, that sounds really good. I mean, it's like a private large language model that you can actually query against the information you've actually imported into Abe. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you seeing? Obviously there's individuals that can sign up for it, but are you actually seeing? You're obviously talking to enterprises as well, like large organizations who want to embrace it as well. Are you seeing there's certain sectors that are doing that, or is it across the board? Is it kind of cross industry? What are you seeing with that?
Yeah. So right now, and I had to get really clear on my vision of what have to get done today, as opposed to, quarter 3, 4. And right now we're laser focused on acquiring job seekers, professionals on the individual user basis.
Okay.
And the reason why, don't get me wrong, we have a whole strategy for companies, right? Our goal is to enhance talent matching, right? Be able to have them match with the right talent, be able to provide training and development. So we will go in that realm, but we know our vision on that side from an enterprise standpoint is we want people to say, we got to go to Abe first. Let's find the right talent there. If we can't find them, we'll go to LinkedIn or Indeed, right? And we believe that our users coming onto Abe are professionals that are mid to top tier professionals, right? They're proactive about their career. They're trying to take active measures. They're trying to be competitive in the market. So we believe that companies from a recruitment standpoint, they have all this data, this information, their skills, their performance reviews. Now our users have full control of their own information, but we know, and how we've spoken with companies, and obviously my whole network of HR executives, is they want premier talent. They want candidate confidence. They want people that are going to be plug and play fits for the culture and for the job. So we're excited about that. But right now who we're strategically partnering with are coaches, nonprofits, organizations that serve job seekers at scale, that are actually implementing the Abe technology into their service of their users. So, or of their clients. Yep. So that's where we're focused right now.
So you've got a multi-part plan soon to be revealed. Yeah. No, that's great. The way you're talking about today, it's kind of triggering in my head lots of things, ideas for growth. So maybe we should have another conversation about that. Anyway,
I'll take any advice that Andrew's willing to give on growth. I am in.
Okay. Well, no, G&T, you see, I wonder if there's growth in there somewhere, I think. Or is it gin? I don't know. I get confused sometimes. So it's too early for gin and tonic, especially where you are.
You never know what's in here, Andrew.
Oh yeah, okay. Beth disguised it today. That's right. Yeah. one of the things, one of the things that to kind of wrap up today's episode, but I'm sure we're going to have another episode later this year or next year, is about pearls of wisdom. Pearls of wisdom. So based on the journey you've been through so far, with your kind of stuff that you did in sporting industry and various other industries, where as a chief people officer, and now you're this in this tech, well, I suppose it's like HR tech and it's people tech kind of phenomenon that you're building. What would be kind of some takeaways that you would kind of like want to share with the audience? Maybe 2 or 3 that you think people should think about when they're embarking or they're part of, they're on their path. What would be your any kind of things you'd want to share?
Yeah, this is kind of my motto, is just, you got to bet on yourself. And when you bet on yourself, it's knowing if you're all in, you're all in, right? Now, there's going to be, distractions, and there's going to be people that don't understand why you're doing what you're doing, but you need to be so committed to that change. And again, knowing what your capabilities are and going all in on it. I think the second thing is just really be who you are, right? And when something doesn't feel right or fit, or it's not the right direction or not the right opportunity, you need to hold yourself accountable to making that change, right? You're not going to change a company's culture. And I hate to say that, but you're not going to be that person that's going to change. Who changes that? It's the CEO. So if you're in a position that you feel like you don't have that fulfillment level, always be proactive and start thinking about your career kind of like a workout plan, right? We all know we should work out every day. Do we do it? If we want to get fit. Well, if you want to be like your career fit, you've got to just continuously work on it and really do that work, that self-reflection to know who you are. That's where it all starts. So before you start looking other way, it's like in marriage, right? Like it's dating. You got to know yourself to really figure out that, to navigate that path. And, I think the other part is, I don't even know why I'm saying this, but the grass isn't always greener either. Right. And I think that we so often see people's external view of themselves on social media and how they're sharing it on podcasts, but you've got to take a look. If you're going to roll, and I'll go kind of more professionally, if you're going to roll and you're at least at neutral, you're not angry, you're not in a toxic place, maybe it's not a bad fit for you right now, right? And if it allows you that flexibility to maybe bet on yourself on a side project or test something out, just stay and really channel those other things. Don't look for a company to bring that all to you. It's not going to happen. So be proactive. Just like you and I originally spoke about, I was bored at work. I went and did a stand-up comedy class and did stand-up comedy. Those are the kind of things that don't wait on your company or your boss to do it for you. Do it for yourself. And we've all got one life to live. Let's try to make it as fulfilling and positive and happy as we can. But in those lower moments, use your network, work with, surround yourself with the right people, use the right technology in your career. But I would just say those are some things, but definitely bet on yourself without a doubt.
Those are really good ones. Really good ones. Thank you, Beth. That's really good. I was thinking actually when you were just saying that, you shouldn't send me some swag. You see, I could have had my Abe T-shirt on today, but maybe next time.
Oh, you need it. I'm sending you a top hat.
Oh yeah. Have you got some top hats? Have you really? Oh,
you just wait to see what's going to be coming out. Andrew.
Okay. So you heard it here first on the G&T sessions, the grand reveal of the swag store. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, baby.
Do you have to grow big sideburns as well, like it? You can stick on sideburns. Okay.
Imagine if I showed up today with a top hat and sideburns.
Well, where's Beth? When's Beth coming on it? Oh no, this is Abe. This is Abe. It's like, Well, thank you very much for coming on the show today. I'm so pleased of how things have gone and that you got launched now. And it's always great to spend time with you. There's never a dull moment, I would say. And I wish you all the best for 2024. And I can't let's catch up in a while, because I think there's a lot of things coming down the chute, and I think you're onto something. It's really, really good what you're doing. So all power to you. Sorry, I was saying all power to you, Abe. Then, not Beth.
Yes,
So that was Beth.
Yes. No, thank you. And yes. No, I appreciate you and all your support. And early on, it's always great to make those LinkedIn connections real connections, right? It's also that's a part of the journey. That's been one of the best parts. And yeah, anybody can access. It's like you said, the platform's live, Abe.Work and WORK. But yeah, we're excited, and I feel like we're just getting started. So yep, bet on us, and we're here to help. And just thanks for all your support, Andrew. It's been awesome.
No problem. So it was Beth Ellison, founder and
Yes.
CEO of Abe.Work, and have a lovely Friday, but have a lovely weekend, and I'll see you soon. Thanks, Beth.
Bye.